Um, uh, it's tough because it's been a while,
Yeah.
but probably really networking,
Oh,
some
yeah.
networking assistance. My first thought when you started saying all this was resume help.
Yeah.
Which
Okay.
they did like kind of a short, quick. This is how a resume should be. But
Yeah.
they gave more attention to federal resumes, like to apply on USA jobs. That's a
Oh,
little bit
gotcha. So like
yeah,
moving into like a civil service
right.
position versus
Yeah,
like maybe working over at like, I don't know,
yeah,
anything
yeah,
else, basically.
yeah.
Yeah.
The majority of the resume and job application process was geared toward going on USA jobs and finding, because yeah, that arena is, they're partial to veterans. They love veterans. They know,
Of course.
so
Yeah.
uh, and your experience translates a lot into those types of jobs. But
Right.
so the majority of the job search stuff was on that. And we really didn't get too much knowledge on how to build a resume for a civilian job, other
Mm,
than here's a website that you go to that will help you translate your military terms into civilian.
okay.
You know,
Okay. Yeah.
um, but more so, I think networking would help more. Like, where do you plan to go? Oh, you're going to be in Oklahoma where you retire. Well, let's see if we have some contacts down there that can help you build a network to start doing that job search.
That's a great idea. Yeah.
Um, or even like had I stayed in Minot, there were several people that I knew that had gotten out and had stayed at Minot and were working at places around the area there that like I would have had a network there, but
Yeah.
having been away from Oklahoma for 24 years, there was really no network for me to speak of down here.
Sure.
So, yeah, networking assistance. If you're not going to stay in the area, if you're moving, going somewhere else, just some kind of a way to help build a network would be awesome.
Yeah. That's a good idea. Yeah. And just talking with, even just with Dave or stuff, because he talked about the TAPS program too. And he's just kind of like the same thing you're saying. He's like, I wished I'd started it sooner or
Mhm.
given it more attention. Like I think like a lot of times people just kind of go through it like, I already know what I'm going to do. So like they're halfway paying attention to what's going on
Mhm.
during those courses instead of
And
just being
it's
like,
it's
well, I really need to
information
take that
overload.
into, I need to take this to heart and I need to write this down or I need to figure this out.
Mhm.
Right. Because and I think the biggest, emotionally versus like, a strategic thing, that transition is, when you talked about like not having a purpose, I think another part is you've gotten so used to doing something every day and it's guaranteed, right? Like, I mean, even down to like what you're going to wear, like even going from like, I know they're not called BDUs anymore, but like when I was around, it was BDUs, right?
Mhm.
But like, or blues or a version or something, right? Like you always knew what you were going to, like even down to that was like so, repetitive and
Right.
consistent and constant and safe, I, dare to say, because it was like, you knew it. So
Mhm.
like going out of that, I think, when I talk to other veterans, it's like, it's almost like a mentally being naked because you're just so vulnerable, because you I always kind of think of it as like Will Ferrell in Talladega Nights, where he's like, I don't know what to do with my
Right.
hands,
Yeah.
because you're just it's so far out of your element. And like, you're very, and I think it's very bizarre to like be very confident as a senior leader leaving, right? And you've had this large group of people that's like giving you these awards or thanking you for your service or thanking you for your leadership. And it's like, okay, that's done,
You're yeah, you're
So,
all of a sudden you're on your own. Like
right,
it didn't matter it didn't matter as an airman, as an NCO, as a senior NCO.
right,
There was always structure. Somebody was always going to be there to tell me what I needed to do. If I
right,
didn't know what I needed to do, I could ask. I could just
right.
look up the chain and ask. You don't have that anymore. You're
Mm-hmm.
on your own. Now, of course, once you get established in a job, depending on what you're doing, you may have that structure again.
Sure.
But there's during that transition period, when you don't have that structure, and it's like, you know, you're on your own. You got to figure it out now.
Right.
So, and it's tough if you haven't done that before and you don't have that experience. You know, it can be a challenge.